2, 1.
Okay, guys, we are back with Kilotrained podcast episode 2. We have our first guest, Kyle Flickinger, aka Flick. He is a fellow UNI graduate, current firefighter in Urbandale, former regional competitor. Were you a three-time regional competitor?
Yep.
Right. First man to complete the chipper in 2014, which is pretty awesome. We can talk about that later. But my former roommate as well. And this podcast is brought to you by Casper Building Services, LLC.
This episode 2 is brought to you by Casper Building Services, LLC. It's my brother, owner, Lucas Casper. His contact information is 319-530-2435. Give him a follow on Facebook and at Instagram. Handle is Casper Building Services, LLC. Check his reviews, give him a follow.
All right, so Flick, you started out Kilo way back in the day. Was that 2012?
2011.
So yeah,
It was
2011.
Really late 2011.
Yeah, so I know that you used to be into rock climbing way then. So how did you find out about CrossFit?
Long story short, the gym I was at kind of had some sketchy stuff going on. It was closing, so I needed a place to work out. And I had a friend named Shane Fuller who was doing CrossFit for a while, and he talked to me about it a few times. He's like, dude, I think you'd be good at this. I'm like, whatever. I just want to lift weights. And so I was like, I didn't go for the longest time. I was like, I made up excuses because he kept asking me to go to like the freebies or whatever. And I drove by. I remember going by Kilo over on Viking and thinking it was like some like guild type thing. I was like, that's like super athletic, gifted people. I don't belong there. Like it's just like legitimately that was my perspective back then. And then one day he asked me. It was a Saturday. I didn't have an excuse. I was like, all right, I'll go check it out. So went with him. I remember the workout had wall balls and GHDs and running and some other stuff in it. It was fun. It was a nice little burn. But I remember getting done and I was like, all right, dude, I'm gonna go hit some shoulders. And I actually I went back over to the other gym that hadn't closed yet and I did like a shoulder workout because I was too stuck into like the bro mindset. But
Yeah.
It was just that little taste right there. It kind of kept me, it got me curious, and I found that I wanted to learn more about it. So my other gym closed, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna try Kilo out and see what this is all about. And I remember just thinking, like, man, there's no machines here. It's just barbells and free weights. Like, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna do my leg extensions? And, all that other stuff. And I mean, come to find out, you don't need it. And I mean, gosh, there's way more I could expand on as far as like how long it took me to actually start doing legitimate CrossFit, because that was like a few month process. But once I got into it, I knew there was no turning back. So
When you graduated with an exercise science degree, so did you already have that going on before you went to the gym? Like, what was your plan with that?
yeah, so I don't know if I actually had a plan. I was just kind of going to school and making sure my grades were all right. And I was like, yeah, I'll figure that stuff out later. But getting involved with the gym definitely changed that for me, because it introduced me to like true functional fitness and like understanding body mechanics and how all that kind of stuff works, especially like with Armin, because he has a lot of knowledge in that area. He studied that in college, and I think he has a master's in it.
Yeah, he does.
And so I mean, just observing him, being around the gym and watching him coach people taught me a ton, and then I kind of like showed me how to transition it from what I was learning in school to actually like applying it and like working with it and being able to coach people. So after a few months of being at the gym, I approached him. I needed to do like a kind of an internship type thing, like a field experience, and he said that the gym offered that. And so I got my foot in the door that way and started coaching a little bit.
Yeah.
I remember seeing Flick at the WRC climbing that rock wall, and I would always look around and kind of size myself up against everybody else in the WRC, and there was only one guy I can remember that was like, this guy is definitely fitter than I am. And he was climbing the rock wall, doing the famous crack. Do you remember the crack on the rock wall at the WRC?
Yeah.
And I would just see Flick go up and down that thing like 4 or 5 times in a matter of 10, 15 minutes, like it was nothing. And I went down there one time and I tried. I couldn't even get halfway up the wall. I'm like, geez, this guy's really got it. And then a couple of years later, actually it was 1 year after graduation, when I went down to the chamber and found CrossFit Kilo, pulled in for the first workout ever there for me. I saw Kyle Flickinger on the jerk blocks with Mitch Smith.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, there's that guy who's on the rock wall just going up and down. He's killing it here too. So
He's everywhere.
Flick was definitely somebody I wanted to be like when I was at the WRC, just in college training.
So when did you find out you had an engine? Because I know you weren't a runner in high school, were you?
No.
Yeah,
I
and then
I played
everyone-
baseball. I
Yeah,
was a
yeah, you're a
catcher.
baseball player.
It was like the
Oh.
exact opposite.
Yeah, and then we come to find out you got an elite engine, and it wasn't a kilo competition where you ran a 5K for the first time.
Yeah, it was like the first. I don't even remember what it was called, but it
Was it
basically
the
was
Winter Open or something?
yeah, and it
that?
like
What was
essentially
it?
turned into the field of teams.
Yeah.
But
What year was that?
2012.
Oh, still early.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was like late 2012.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was they had a 5K program in that workout. I remember the thing started with an actual like Olympic weightlifting style like meet type deal. You know, like we had 3 attempts at snatch and clean and jerk, and I totally sucked. And it was terrible. But I was like, all right, we got a 5K coming up. I'm gonna see if I can make up for it in that. And at the start of it, like everybody kind of ran for like this little bridge, so it narrowed up, and like you had to get ahead of the pack if you wanted to be near the front. So I just kind of went for it. You know, I like full on sprint at the start, and I was like, man, this is gonna be bad. But then like it just kind of tapered off, and I was like, wow, I can run. I found what I can do.
What'd you run that in? Do you remember?
Oh, low 18.
Oh, wow.
First
That's
5K.
impressive.
That's awesome.
Low 18.
So,
And did you get into the competitors training like immediately after starting? Was it a few months?
after starting CrossFit,
Yeah, at the gym.
no, it was that summer. It was summer 2012. They started doing that super squat program.
Yeah, 20 rep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my
A lot,
god.
a lot
that
of
was
kilo members have done that one.
terrible. It was such a fun memory.
Okay,
So,
so you've been to regionals 3 times. What are
Yeah.
some of your favorite training memories or competition memories?
training memories. Oh gosh, I'd have to say the overnight.
Overnighter.
Yes.
Training,
I was gonna say
yeah,
that.
We all got to do a workout with Flick. That was
Football
Yeah,
experience.
so for some background, Flick made it to regionals as an individual in 2014, which was a huge deal because Armin and Charlie were the last one to compete at regionals before that,
In
right?
2011.
11.
Yeah.
And then it was team.
Aside from team stuff.
Flick made individual, which was a huge deal. So we had 2 teams going to regionals with you that year.
Yeah.
And for our kind of big night of training before regionals, Armin had us show up at 10 o'clock probably?
Yep.
10 o'clock.
yeah.
And Flick had 7 events for regionals, and we went for probably 4 hours.
It was
So,
like 4 to 5 hours.
4 to 5 hours, and team members, we would be outside just crushing ourselves in the wet rain prairie outside the
And we were in the back of the gym. We were flipping telephone poles.
carrying
We were
each
doing
other.
team workouts. So we were doing. Oh man, I remember like it was last night. We were doing buddy carries,
Yep.
telephone flips. We would do
I think we
team
did some
synchro
bear crawls and
burpees.
stuff.
I remember we went to 1,000 burpees, but we counted them by 6s. We were in our teams of 6,
Yep.
and then we counted by 6s all the way to 1,000. And then every 20, 30 minutes or so, one of us would rotate inside to do a different workout with Flick, just kind of for us to give him a push. So I think did you do the chipper, Luke?
I think I did the handstand walk, which I can barely
Oh,
walk.
yeah.
Yeah, you did the snatch.
I did the
and
easiest one,
Yeah.
the easiest, shortest one, so I was outside for the rest of the night.
like 3 hours
Yeah.
straight.
Oh man, I remember doing the front squat,
Yeah,
handstand,
that's
push
what
up,
we did.
burpee one with Flick, but yeah, it was cold, it was wet and rainy, and
So his level of fitness at that time was above your guys' by quite a bit.
by far,
Yeah.
Flick was
I don't think so.
well.
He was an incredible deadlifter, which showed out at regionals too. But that was the year with there was a deadlift ladder in the open
Yeah.
because my back was
Nice.
Deadlift, box
wrecked.
jumps.
That was the only reason.
The heavy lift that year
was
was
my saving
deadlifts.
grace in the
Yeah,
end.
it was. Flick
Yeah.
killed that workout in the open.
But that night, Flick did all 7 regional events in a matter of 4 hours while we all were outside and would come in and push him. And I think that was kind of the epitome of what Kilotrained was and is. You know, maybe it didn't necessarily get him better at those workouts physically, but I think it had a huge mental advantage, you know, when you're tired going to that second and third event.
Absolutely. And first off, I will say you guys had it way worse that night. There was no question about it. Besides, like, it was seriously cold and rainy. and you were stuck drenched out there. Like, I mean, especially you probably had it worse than anybody.
Yeah,
Because
I had the
started.
2 minute
Yeah, you had
workout.
easy workouts. That just meant you were outside more
Yeah.
for more of the time.
And so, like, you know, everybody's talking like, dude, you had to do the entire regional weekend in one night. You know, like it's such a big deal. I'm like, man, all my people at the gym, my teammates and whatnot, they like you don't even know what they had to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that kind of stuff. I think probably the biggest focus at Kilo has been mental toughness.
Yep.
Pretty much, like it ultimately comes down to that. Is just being able to suck it up and go. And I think that's what is one of the most important parts of competing. You know, like it's gonna hurt, it's gonna be uncomfortable, but you got to be willing to accept it and just ignore it and push past it. And so Armin was he's always pretty, you know, honest about just being able to do that. And so, like that night for me, when doing all those workouts when I was, you know, exhausted, I hadn't slept, like I didn't take a nap or anything before that, so I was tired going into it, but I was able to get through them. And so going into the weekend, it showed me, I was like, all right, no matter what, I know I can do these workouts.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, regardless of how it goes, like I can push it and I'll be fine.
What was your best finish of event that year in 2014 at regionals?
That was that chipper, the 50s chipper.
What place did you get?
Second.
Did
Wow,
you really?
Okay,
I
I was gonna say that's my favorite competition memory of you, because I think we were probably the second weekend, and I think second weekend, no one had finished that workout the first weekend.
Up until
that point.
Cool.
The East or whatever had done the workout as well. Our weekend no one had finished it. Flick pulls out, and you did like 50 extra wall balls.
Yeah, because I kept getting over.
So what was the workout
What?
for the people that don't know it?
So it began with a 50 cal row. You might have to help me with this. Went to 50 box jump overs,
And then deadlifts, right?
50 deadlifts, 50
Wall
wall
balls,
balls, and then 50 ring dips, and then you went back through
down.
the other 4 movements.
Yeah,
back
and
to
you got
the
nerfed a lot on the wall ball depth,
balls.
right?
Yep.
And you still managed to finish. And I think like it was just so cool seeing you finish that workout. Because that was kind of when CrossFit was starting to get big at regionals, where the crowds were getting pretty big, especially on, I think that was probably Saturday, too.
I know
It was.
Flick
Yeah,
was
it
getting
was
close
day
to finishing that. I mean, that like he had the whole crowd amped up.
Yeah,
it was
that was
a
awesome.
Saturday or Sunday. I know that wasn't a Friday workout because I remember the stadium was packed and Flick was getting close to finishing and he had the crowd behind him, and I remember that part.
I bet you the PA guy
Was it Sunday
on
morning?
your side
Okay.
too. I bet the PA guy was on your side too.
I don't remember honestly. That last row was the most pain that I have ever.
But then,
I'm not even kidding.
it was awesome.
Just
because,
cranking the rower.
Like, the big thing for Kilotrained has always been never lay down, because Armin would always emphasize, you know, when you finish, you might be hurting, but if you can get off the row or you can finish your movement or whatever, and go and stand on the finish line while everyone else is laying down after the workout, whether they beat you or not, like that's just a mental edge that it's this guy, how is he standing up after you finish?
Exactly.
Because the big thing for me, I like for laying down is like, I was going max effort, but I was literally working seconds ago. Why? What's like you don't need to lay down. Yeah, exactly. So it's just awesome seeing you finish. Everyone's like passed out on the floor while you're standing there finished with no one else finishing, and I don't think the guy in the heat after would have finished if you hadn't finished, because you like showed it was possible.
Possibly, yeah, probably. But I mean, that was Bobby Noyce, and everybody knew he had a crazy engine. So
yeah, that's true.
I'm sure he's plenty capable regardless. But yeah, I remember watching that and I was like, man, that sucks.
So you're the first one to finish that.
He was the first one.
That's
finish,
awesome.
Which is cool.
He flicked him.
He flicked him.
Dang it.
I got flicked by Bobby.
Speaking of which,
But-
let's go over the origin of flicked, because we still use it at our gym today.
All the time.
Nobody knows what it means,
All the
but like
time.
a select 6 or 7 people.
Yeah.
Yep.
We have to play games with one another. So I remember this is when Wyatt was still at the gym, and Wyatt, bigger, stronger, more powerful athlete than all 4 of us, I would say. And there was a bike workout, and actually no, I got this backwards.
I think I did it
Luke
first.
did the bike workout first.
Lied about my score.
Yep, wrote up a slower time on the
I knew he
whiteboard.
beat me.
Wyatt came in, gave it a peek, and I don't think he beat you. I think you.
I think he still did.
He still
did.
Oh,
Yeah, that's his moment of glory for himself. But
Well, yeah. So we have to do that now, just to kind of mess with each other, and just to prepare of not being flicked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And Luke did the exact same thing to me. a few months ago. No, it was a month before Central Regional Training. I came in and did a assault bike deadlift WOD, and he gave me a score that he hit within a 20-minute AMRAP. And he told me, he asked me what I got, and I said like 315. He's like, I got 316. And then there was the second part to the workout, like a 2-minute rest right into another workout. I was just defeated. Yeah, I was just, I got like one round in 20 minutes in the next, but I was just like so mad. And then he told me that, yeah, I got him by quite a bit.
But I tried to do that too this week. I don't even think you looked at the whiteboard, did you?
Yeah, but you still beat me.
Yeah, I know. Do you think it was because of that? Did you look at the whiteboard thing? All right, I know I'm going to get something.
No, I couldn't go much faster.
Word.
But the origin of this, I believe Charlie Donahue from across the Kilo used to work out in the morning all the time because he was a firefighter as well. And he was kind of the, what's the word I want to say? Like he was the standard for what you would walk in, you're like, all right, that's a good score.
Where are the good scores at?
Yeah, exactly. When all the competitors
what do I have to aim at?
Yeah, exactly. So he would get so mad because Flick would come in and beat him by, just a couple reps or a few seconds.
Yeah.
You used to look at the whiteboard a lot, didn't you, Flick, back in the day? Yeah, you did.
Back then, yeah.
Hey, he'd win a lot of workouts, so I don't know who started that. Probably Armand or
It was probably Charlie.
Armand or Charlie or
between
something.
those two.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, so we still use that to this day.
I mean, honestly, with Armin though too, like when I first started, I wanted to be like Armin, So
Yeah.
if he had a score, I was like, okay, I'm gonna try and beat that,
Yeah.
legitimately, and not to like, make a hit on him or whatever. It's just like, I want to be good.
Something to chase.
Yeah, exactly.
It was never anything personal.
No.
I mean, it might be now.
And it's like those first workouts that someone will post or their scores, it kind of gives you what's possible, and then you can try to beat that as well.
Yeah.
Like otherwise, if you don't know your score, you're like, oh, I went pretty hard, and then someone else shows up and crushes you. Like even on 20.1, Froning and Panchik did it in like 9.5 or whatever, and then you're like, all right, maybe someone will go sub 9. That'll be a great score, and then guys are going 8 minutes.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
What's
It really is.
people can keep beating the standard set. So it is funny, but it definitely does help. I mean, especially on those days where you come in, you're not very motivated, you can check out someone's time and just help give you a push. It's not necessarily like, all right, I just need to beat this guy because I don't like him or something like that.
Yeah.
So.
And before we move on to the next part, what'd you get on 20.2, and then Luke, what did you get on 20.2?
The reverse.
It was a reverse flick.
Could have flicked Luke. Tell our listeners what you got.
Did you know the score before you started?
No, I did not. I didn't ask purposely because I was like, all right, I don't know what's going to happen with this workout. I didn't have like
You're cooking.
a strategy. I was like, I'm just going to go and hopefully keep going. So I got 451. Came up to Luke after the workout, asked his score, and he got 453.
Which is 28 rounds plus
3 thrusters for
3
him.
thrusters
one
for
thruster for me.
one for Flick. So it was really
I'm
tight.
not sure if the reps on that are correct, but
What?
453.
Yeah, it was like 900.
Oh yeah, sorry.
955 and 953.
I'm doing the math in my head.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's quite adding up.
I don't know where 4 came from. I made
Yeah,
a 4
we do more
was
double
like a
unders than
9,
that
right?
actually. Yeah.
Yeah. That's because all other open workouts are like 300 or 400 reps usually.
Yeah.
I ended up going up to Flick after that, and I said, hey, had you known his rep count, would you beat him? He's like, I think I would have. Definitely.
He would have flicked me for sure.
Probably, yeah. I don't think I could avoid it.
Yeah, so I think one of the big things we want to talk about today is that you've kind of moved on from trying to compete at a high level, I guess.
Yeah.
So even though you weren't necessarily making money off of it or anything like that, you did invest a lot of time and effort, sacrificing other things, to compete. So what has it been like moving on from that? Do you feel like you're missing out ever, or are you able to?
I don't know. I mean, maybe a little bit of missing out, and there's obviously a lot of me that misses it too.
Mm-hmm.
Most of that comes with the people who I did it with, which a lot of those people have also moved on as well, so that kind of makes it easier for me. But like I come back around you guys who are still very competitive, and it like puts that drive back in me to like want to like push it and be good at stuff. And so not being around that, it kind of takes my mind off of it, and I don't think about it too much. But I will say, like at first, like when I first kind of started getting out of it, it was hard because I was, like worried, like man, I'm gonna get less fit. I'm not gonna be good at things. I'm not gonna be able to do stuff that I did before, And what it comes down to is that's simply not true. If you are active and you still do the stuff that you did before, you know, like maybe not at the same intensity, but you stay adamant about being consistent with things and working on things, like you're gonna maintain.
Yeah.
And you'll come to find out you'll have random days where it's like, yeah, I want to push it today, and then you'll just randomly PR something. And it's like, wow, I wasn't even trying to do that, you know. And so it just shows, I guess, kind of the value of relaxing a little bit, you know, and still having like that foundation of a competitive mindset, but just letting it kind of be at ease and not letting it stress you out. Because I think our own minds are like our worst competitor, really.
Yeah.
You know, like we can psych ourselves out of so many things, but when you just kind of forget about it, and you're like, I'm working out to work out, to feel good, to stay fit, like it's amazing what our bodies can do.
Yeah, and we were kind of talking about this morning actually, about before you did or after you did 20.2, where like especially like the competitive athletes that are trying to make it to the games, to the open, you know, they're so stressed out about this workout that they probably do themselves a disservice by worrying so much about it. They probably do worse on the workout. Whereas like, funny enough, you literally drove from Des Moines this morning, walked in and we started 20.2 like 10 minutes later.
Yeah, bro, you killed that. You killed it. I was in the middle of my third round, and I asked what you got, and I about pooped myself. You killed that workout, man.
Yeah.
How many rounds were in the workout you were supposed to be doing, Micah?
Yeah.
I'm not going there.
Well, we will. Luke,
Yeah.
you were coaching that class, Luke, so can you tell us
Yeah,
that workout
so
today?
today's workout was 4 rounds, 800-meter run, 30 strict pull-ups, 50 hand release push-ups, 100 air squats with a vest. For our experts.
For competitors, yeah.
Yeah, for competitors. It's about 42 minutes in. I look over, Mike is chilling on the bench. He finished 2 rounds, he was good. Off the warpath.
I was in the middle of my push-ups, and I was already capped at that point, but I remember his wife, Natalie, was finishing up her air squats and yelling over at Micah, hey, Mike, are you ready to run and start round 4? And Micah just was kind of mumbling, I'm done. Natalie walked over, hey, are we going to run or not? Nah, I'm done. Yeah, 3 rounds is enough. And
He woke up early, picked up the lumber, and then put it back
he
down.
put it back down. He didn't want to build all day.
He went back inside.
I'm not going to comment on any of this.
It's all right.
Okay.
You can.
You know, I'll piggyback off of what Flick said, though. You guys can use it as an example what Luke and Austin just talked about with that workout. I was sore this morning, and I really did listen to my body so I can come back fresh for a good week of training coming up before point 3 this next week. Now, me 2-3 years ago, I'm not going to have that same mindset that I have now. I'm a little bit older. I'm not that old. I'm 31, but I do listen to my body for sure a lot more now than I did 2 years ago. I try to recover the best as I possibly can. And it's the best my knees have felt in years. Listen to my body. I never used to listen to my body. I used to just crush myself. Mac Weirda style. Just bury myself in training. And I just, if I'm going to compete 2 or 3 months out, I will, to get that edge, whether it's going to be for like a qualifier or going into the comp, I will bury myself 3 days a week and hit the intensity high and get in game mode. But I mean, I'm out of season right now. I told Luke I'm going to try and qualify for the NorCal Classic. Austin knows that. To go out to Cali, see my boy Wyatt. About January-ish, I'm going to start hitting it hard. Right now, I'm maintaining my fitness. I'm just doing my best to get in, have fun, not worry about it. I'm still going to continue to beat Austin in the Open every week, which I have done.
The point 2 is an asterisk though, so.
Yeah.
He did it with the 55-pound dumbbells, which is really impressive, and I only got him by 6 reps. But
So that's
a win's
no.
a win,
That's
baby.
No. That's no.
Okay.
I mean, if you do the math on how much work he did.
That is true, and Flick and I did talk about that. There is a difference if you think about that 10-pound will throughout a 20-minute workout. He would have got me.
Yep. Anyway, what we're trying to get back on track. Like I think, like what we were talking about earlier. You know, you just came in stress-free and able to smash that workout. Whereas maybe a couple years ago, you're so worried about trying to make it to regionals where you psych yourself out and maybe do a little bit worse if you start to feel like more tired earlier than you think you should, or the score's not going the way you want it to, whereas now you're stress free. You know, if it doesn't go the way you want to, you know, you're like, oh, whatever, and you just keep pushing, you know.
Right. Yeah, and I think kind of knowing that I'm just doing it once too.
Yeah.
You know,
I think that's important.
a lot of
That's
people
awesome feeling.
walk in planning to do the workout more than once.
Yeah.
You know, and everybody trains differently, everybody competes differently, but I don't really understand why you would attempt a workout planning to not give it everything you got in that moment. You're thinking like, oh, you know, I'll just fill it out here and suffer for 20 minutes and then repeat it
Try
again.
to redo it, yeah.
So, I mean, it works for some people, and like in some cases, like if it doesn't go as planned, if you got another chance, why not take it? Especially in something like the Open, if you're being competitive. But
Yeah.
it just, I don't know, it seems like a waste of time, a waste of a day of like training for some people,
Mhm.
you know, especially if you're dedicating 2 or maybe even 3 days to one workout.
Yeah.
But
And especially with regionals being gone, like practicing workouts isn't nearly as important anymore.
yeah,
Because regionals, we would get the workouts a month before, and Armo would just have us hammer workouts over and over and over to where we weren't like even, I would say we weren't really fit anymore. We were just specifically trained for regionals, which is what you had to do.
oh yeah,
Yeah, that's what you had to do for them. But now, you show up at a sanctional, which is replaced regionals, and most of the time you don't know all the workouts, or you get them a week before, so you don't get to practice. So if you can't put out your best effort for that first open workout, how do you know how to put out your best effort when you do the sanctional workout for the first time?
right.
So that's kind of how I attack those workouts.
I mean, what do we train for year round? You know,
Exactly.
like by doing constantly varied functional movements, you know, we're training our bodies to be ready for anything at any point.
Mhm.
So in my mind, that means you should be ready at any point, regardless of how you feel and what the workout is, to give it your 100%.
And that's how, I mean, that's kind of the profession you're in now as a firefighter and paramedic. You don't get any redos.
Right. Yeah, you definitely don't. You don't get warm-ups, you don't get little breaks, you know, sometimes you don't get to go take a drink of water before you have to go back into a house that's on fire, and you might not feel the best. But you gotta do it, you know, and I mean, adrenaline obviously helps a lot with that, but at a certain point your body can only put out so much adrenaline, and then you're just kind of running on fumes, and you know, you gotta know how to cope with that and still be able to work.
So who are some of the influences you to become a firefighter?
Specifically Charlie Donahue, who we mentioned earlier, and Ian Wass.
Yep.
And we'll say, we
They
had,
currently do that right now.
yes they
They
do.
do.
They both work for Waterloo Fire, and that was where I began my career, and definitely
So
both
they kind of
those-
paved the way a little bit. You worked
Yeah,
with them.
Yeah.
Because you, after you graduated, you worked at, what was it called again?
Abbreviated CVCSS.
Yeah,
It's
and that was kind of a,
agency. I worked with people who had mental handicaps, physical disabilities, and basically just provided care and assistance as needed.
yeah, and that was just kind of a transition period, trying to figure out
What I was
what
doing
you want
with-
to do, yeah.
But also more focusing. I was like, okay, I've got time now to like train and compete
yeah.
hard. That was kind of when I did it. You
Yeah.
know, I was younger
Yeah.
then and could afford to do that.
So did you ever think you'd be a firefighter?
No, not really. I mean,
Yeah.
kind of like a little bit. I think may have like considered it, but it was kind of once I, you know, considered it a true possibility. I was like, man, why did I not ever think of this before? You know, but yeah, growing up, it wasn't like it was like a childhood dream or anything. I wanted to be a baseball player. When I was a kid, I played baseball my whole life, and when I realized that wasn't going to happen, I was like, oh no, what do I do now?
And I think that's a good lesson for, like we have a lot of college kids that go to Kilo too, that you don't necessarily, including Austin, you don't necessarily have to use your major for your profession.
Right.
Like you were exercise science, you're a firefighter now. Austin was history teaching. He owns a gym now.
Yeah.
So me and Mike are kind of the ones that are using our major. And I mean, obviously you don't necessarily need to go to college if that's not the path that's you're led on, but college is a great way to get contacts and get to know people. And
Oh yeah.
like if you hadn't gone to UNI, you never would have met Charlie and Ian, and you probably wouldn't be a firefighter.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't regret one bit going to school and, you know, getting a bachelor's Bachelor and something that, I mean, even if I'm not really using it right now, like it's still, like he said, paved the way for that, and in a roundabout way led to what I do now.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's just how life works a lot of the time, you know. And so kind of an expensive roundabout, but that's all right. It's worth
Happy
it.
now though.
Yeah,
A lot of people
absolutely.
end up in a different career compared to like what they went to college for.
Yeah.
And but that doesn't mean they're still not using a lot of the skills that they learned in the classrooms and
Exactly.
field experience, internships, stuff like that. So they're still taking bits and pieces of that degree with them down the road, which is in the end most important.
So like we said, you've moved on from high level competitive CrossFit for the most part and into focusing on firefighting. So how's your training changed from high level to training for your job?
It's a matter of priorities, really, and that kind of also helped with the transition from being a competitor to doing it more relaxed and just to stay fit and be able to do things. Because I was like, all right, I have other things that I consider more important now to focus on. You know, being the job and being ready to perform for that. So with training now, I kind of have to take it day to day and really listen to my body, because sometimes we work 24-hour shifts. So we have a 24-hour on shift and we have 48 hours off. So it's an awesome schedule, but it doesn't change the fact that if you go and work for 24 hours and you have a busy night, you don't sleep at all, like you still feel like crap the next day.
Yeah.
And it's knowing how to manage that, which that's different for everybody. I found that what works for me best is just getting a workout in right away. You know, if I go home and take a nap, I'm kind of tapped out. No matter how long it is, like I don't want to wake up and do anything. But if I just suck it up and go and work out and then stay busy, like I found that I'll be fine. You know, I'll recover the next night and sleep, and that's you know, probably not the healthiest way by definition to go about it, but it works for me. You know, and I mean, quick sidetrack. I think a lot of times we try to make things too black and white, like textbook. Like this is what, you know, science and research has shown our bodies need. You know, and we try to paint the same picture for everybody when everybody is totally different.
Yeah.
That's a great way of putting it. There's just so much gray area in there, and you're gonna fit into your own spot. So like your nutrition is probably different from other firefighters on your team, and just what you eat, when you eat.
I would never recommend the things I do to anybody. the way that I eat, the way that I train,
And I think
it works for me.
I think one of the big things for you is you rarely stress about that.
Yeah.
Now anyway, like I'm sure back in the day you stress a little bit about it, but like if you do eat something bad, if you don't stress about it, it's not going to affect you nearly as negatively as if you do stress about it. You know, if you just kind of move on from that, or if you miss a workout, it's not going to mess with you nearly as bad if you don't stress about it. But if you stress all day about it, it's going to, you know, your hormones are
it eats you up. There are so many things, like I couldn't even tell you the science behind it, but so many things that just get released, chemicals and hormones, whatnot in our body, and it has detrimental effects just because of the thoughts that we have. And if we allow like anxiety over silly things to take over, you're going to see your health decrease, your performance, everything.
Yeah, that guilt, I forgot to work out guilt, or I had a dessert guilt. I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
You're better off enjoying it, moving on, and then getting after it the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, you know, moderation of everything, and like being controlled still, but like you gotta find that happy medium of being controlled and being able to relax at the same time.
Did any of you three battle that early going on with CrossFit?
I did a
Wait,
lot.
yes.
I
I
felt
gotta
like
get, and I feel like sometimes beginning CrossFitters that are aspiring to either just be fit and make goals, or be fit and
Hat right
compete.
now. It's one of those cases, you know, as a new CrossFitter. I mean, Luke and Flick can share their story, but I remember if I didn't do the workout exactly as prescribed, I felt like I was falling behind. And at the end of the day, now I can look, hey, you know, I was in there, I was training, I was taking steps forward towards my goal. But, you know, as a younger athlete, it just seemed like if I didn't do exactly what was on that whiteboard, oh man, Luke and Flick or Armin, Charlie, whoever it was, you know, I'm trying to match up with, oh man, they're going to get a head step on me, and I'm doing it wrong. And so that was definitely stressful, when at the end of the day, it's easy to change something and really you're going to get a similar result.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, if I didn't get everything done,
It was like, oh man, I'm just not going to get
stressful.
Right, that fear that if you're not getting better, you're getting worse.
Yep.
You know, and like, yeah, obviously. obviously, if you're not doing everything, you're not getting better, right?
Yeah, which I'm
Not
sure
people.
just that stress was way more detrimental than actually missing a small piece. Like I didn't do the toe to bar accessory work that day.
Yeah.
Oh, my toe to bar aren't going to be as good as they should be. Like it's
Right.
not
Right.
that big of a deal because we do everything else enough that they can apply to other movements. So
And that just comes back to just the consistency you take with things. If you miss it that one time, okay, no big deal, move on to the next day. Now if you let things become a bad habit, like I don't need to do part B and C and that's a day-to-day thing, then you're gonna notice some regression in comparisons to, staying on the path.
Right. Which, I mean, I think if somebody aspires to be competitive and wants to get better, that shouldn't be an issue, But I mean, if you are doing that kind of stuff and you're wondering why you're not getting better, that's probably why.
yeah,
Same can be said for nutrition too. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, everybody, wants to enjoy their dessert or their whatever, if it's pizza night or, go and have a beer, but when you let those things compound, that's when bad things can start
I
to
think
build up.
it's hard because we as a lot of people that do CrossFit or trying to stay healthy, usually family and other friends outside the gym do not understand what you're trying to accomplish, whether it's competitive or not, just a healthy lifestyle
Yeah.
of I need to say no to this pizza or this ice cream because I'm not trying to do that every single night of the week.
Right.
Yeah, maybe once, but if you're always saying yes, then you're gonna end up just like that.
Yeah.
You know?
And it always seems like there's something to celebrate, whether it's somebody's birthday or, it seems like every weekend somebody's got something to celebrate or throughout the weekend. There's so many occasions that, are we going out drinking? Are we having, this to eat? And sometimes saying no isn't a bad thing. Like, you gotta remember your goals and doing what's right for you.
Yeah. Knowing when to do it too, because I mean, sometimes you got to say yes to.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. Like we said earlier, don't be afraid to let loose a little bit and relax and enjoy those times. Because I think constantly saying no is it's gonna have negative health effects on you too, like mentally. We're social beings and we want to be around other people doing fun things and enjoying things. And if you constantly withhold, you're just gonna hurt yourself in the end.
So you just moved to Des Moines.
Yes.
How's the transition been going?
It's been awesome, really. I had a lot of traveling between there and Waterloo over the last year, and I knew this would be happening. Due to a woman who I want to deal with.
Who's that?
Autumn Repsch. Maybe she'll be listening to this, but so now we're finally living in the same city, and it's been amazing. Obviously, just because we don't have to drive 2 hours now to see each other and hang out, we're with each other all the time, so that's
Sweet.
So since you moved, I remember you were doing a bunch of remodeling on the house you had in Waterloo, right?
Yeah.
Did you get that sold?
Yeah, I did.
Awesome.
I did, and
He showed me some pictures on his
Oh,
phone
it was
at the
incredible.
gym.
The
It
basement
turned
and
out
everything.
very well. Flick is very well self-taught carpenter. I can definitely appreciate that. A lot of the work he's done that I've seen on Instagram. Go give him a follow, by the way. What is your handle? I am Flick.
I am Flick.
Yep, go give him a follow. Go check out some of the photos that he's posted on some of the carpentry projects, but they look amazing.
Yeah, it was really good.
Well, thank you.
Casper Methods
Means a
approved.
lot, yeah.
Yeah, you and I, we
Coming
could
from
be
you.
I've
business
never
partners
gotten
in 10
approval.
years.
Who's gonna move where though? I can't promise
In a
something for
decade,
you.
we'll talk in a decade. I feel like it's a 10-year plan.
Yeah, okay.
So-
We'll worry about it in 10 years.
Yeah.
We're gonna make another
Yeah,
plan.
exactly. All right.
So where do you currently train now out in the Des Moines area?
CrossFit 8035. It's a gym located downtown Des Moines. Luke Ryland, who's also a pretty well-known competitor.
Good dude.
Yeah, he is. He's
Awesome
an awesome guy. Regionals and did they go to the games?
They've been close as a team. I don't think.
Ooh,
I can't remember if,
I'm
well,
not sure.
as a team, I don't think they did recently. They were right there, like 6th or 7th in 2018. I know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
when we
crushed
were
it
there.
that year.
Yeah.
Now
That
Luke
close.
Ryland was
He was
an
individual
individual
for
regional,
quite a while.
right?
For a
Yeah,
little
he
bit,
was
yeah.
always at the top of the region.
I don't know if he's made it to the games though or not. I just don't know of his history that well.
Yeah.
Luke, just
but-
check out YouTube and you can comment
Right.
underneath there if we got that wrong.
Bottom line, he's super fit, and he's
Yeah.
he's a really cool guy. So working out at his gym now, and that's been sweet. You know, I know there's a decent amount of people actually who were at Kilo before, moved to Des Moines, and they work out there now too.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, some familiar faces there, and then I mean I've known Luke because of competing for years now. So pretty easy transition. Switching gyms. I mean, I love Kilo. That's forever gonna be my home. That's where it all started, but it's good now still.
I think that's about it. Any other questions for Kyle Flickinger? No. Yeah. So, do you have any plans, future goals? Just from now, like getting a house, getting out of an apartment.
Oh yeah, I mean that's gonna be kind of when it's right financially between Autumn and I. You know, we've talked about that plenty, but we're not in any hurry right now. So we'll just see. Like I said, when the time is right, when the finances feel right, and definitely looking forward to that. So otherwise, outside of that, goals obviously just as far as fitness goes to stay fit, maintain my health, and I mean luckily she does CrossFit too, and she's better than I am, without a doubt. So
Had to say that.
we push each other. I didn't have to say it. I wanted to say it.
You guys both competed at the Central
Yeah.
too, so I thought that was pretty cool.
That was fun, being able to compete myself and then still cheer her on.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, I was way more nervous anytime that her team went, you know, watching them, like, man, I just want them to do good at this, because they were, you know, in contention for a top spot. And so
They did well, they got second.
Yeah, they did. They crushed it, so it was super exciting to watch, but, yeah, so... Yeah,
Did she have, wasn't her teammates from Kilo, or were they from?
kind of in a way. Morgan Teal and
Oh,
Barry
yeah.
McLaughlin. So they both worked out at Kilo at one point. I think due to school for both of them. We're up in the Cedar Valley area for a while. So.
Well, it was a pleasure talking to you, Flick.
Yeah,
Been
thanks for
friends
coming
for a
down.
long time.
Like,
Pleasure's all mine.
Friends for even longer after this. So
Absolutely.
just remember that this podcast was brought to you by Casper Methods Building Services, or Casper.
Yes, this episode 2 is brought to you by Casper Building Services. Go check out some of his stuff on Facebook and Instagram. His handle is Casper Building Services LLC. You can contact him at 319-530-2435. He's a general contractor, also can take care of any bath, kitchen remodels, just any do-it-yourself handyman work that you may need. Give him a contact. Also, if you haven't already, go and any of the YouTube material, make sure you guys please subscribe, leave comments below, and let us know what you think, or with future episodes, you can comment on anything, any questions, people you'd like to see, whatever. Just leave us some feedback too, and if you haven't already or don't know about it, go follow Kilotrained Podcast at Kilotrained Podcast. Thank you.
Yep. And if you enjoyed this episode or episode 1, please share it with anyone you know that you think would also like this.
And Luke, tell them where you can listen as well.
Yeah, so we are on Anchor, which will be in our bio of our Instagram, YouTube with Micah Casper, which you can type in Kilotrained Podcast to find that. And then we are on Spotify as well, which you can go off of the link in our Instagram too.
the link will also be posted on our blog on our CrossFit Kilo 2 website as well. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, man. That was great.
Thank you. That was fun.